Welcome to the Believe and Achieve Mastermind with Julietta Arden-Taylor. My name is Yvette, this is Julietta, and Julietta is going to take you through a presentation about personal branding, and we'll try and answer any questions along the way. So if I let you share.
Yeah, bear with while I just launch this because it is right. Have you got the right screen up? Yeah.
See your screen, so that's
Perfect.
fine.
So I've actually recorded this on Canva. I've done my presentation on here. It's a lovely place. I don't know if anyone uses Canva, but it's a great place to do a presentation. And I've discovered this morning that you can actually go live on Canva as well. How does that look for everyone? If you give me thumbs up if
that's great.
Your screen's all, yeah.
Will I move out of your way?
Yeah, you don't have to. You can stay and keep me company.
That's fine. I'm going to just sit right next to you.
She's leaving me to it in this room. So hopefully you can all see the screen there. I am Julietta Arden-Taylor. I'm a photographer, personal brand photographer. And I'm going to just talk to you about personal branding and a bit about me to start with and why personal branding is important. So yeah, who I am, why my previous career matters in personal branding, a reminder of what it is, why it helps, and what you can do today or this week to be more visible in your business. And then at the end, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Brand Tribe, which is a membership that I've launched that explains a bit why personal branding is important to me. So next. Let me go to the next slide. This is where we go technical. Right, a bit about me. So for those who don't know me, I have been a family photographer for about 10 years, and I've moved away from family photography to personal brand photography. There's lots of reasons behind that, but the most important thing to know is that I have spent 10 years building up my business as a family photographer to be the go-to family photographer in Northamptonshire, where I live. And over those 10 years, I have ended up with a studio in a beautiful barn at Glendon Lodge Farm in Kettering, and photographing families. And then while I've been photographing families, I've slowly been photographing their brands for them as well. So those sort of things are kind of taken over. I've gone from family photography to brand photography. I have the Julietta Arden-Taylor photography brand. And then I've moved to the Brand Tribe brand, which is personal brand photography. So that's just a little bit about me. To give you an idea about my personal brand experience, it's unique. And I guess the whole reason with personal branding is that everyone's personal branding will be unique to them. And it's all to do with our unique life experience and how we can help others. So in my instance, this whole page here that you can hopefully see is all about what makes me unique as a personal brand. And a lot of people don't know this about me. I don't even know if Yvette here even knows about my past, but I did a media and culture studies degree. So I learned a lot about how branding is important, about popular culture, how to kind of like feed into popular culture to commercially. So I did a lot of that at the start with media and culture studies. Then I became a TV production assistant, and I worked with some incredible brands. I think you can see their logos on the screen. I worked for TFI Friday with Ginger TV, Rapido TV. I'm sure if none of you are old enough to know what they produce, I'm not going to give it away here. You'll have to put your question. I might ask Yvette to put that in the notes.
Yeah.
I worked for the BBC later on as well. And then I became a marketing exec as well for Mercedes-Benz before I then became a sponsorship and promotions manager for Heart Radio. So the important thing about this, before I even started up my own photography business, is that all those jobs were unique to me and my experience in those jobs and what I learned of working with, TV world, famous people, learning how to market a brand like Mercedes-Benz. Heart Radio was all about, coming up with ideas and brand ideas and promotions for other businesses. So a lot of this I learned on the job, what was important to those businesses and how to promote them. So all of those things make up me as a personal brand. And when I became a family photographer, I didn't just become a photographer and, you know, pick up a camera and learn how to use it. I also knew how to market myself because of all the previous experience I had. And then obviously because I've marketed myself successfully with the family photography, I then decided to launch the brand photography to showcase how I could do that. So hopefully that gives you an idea about me. I'll talk more about that later. So what is personal branding? I feel like this is the generation that will know what personal branding is or begin to start learning about it, because everybody's doing it. Everybody that is showing their face or needs to show their face is doing some level of personal branding, whether they realize it or not. The most important thing is how to build on that to create the right personal brand for what you're offering to your audience. So personal branding, it is how people perceive you and the value you offer. More importantly, authenticity is why people then build trust with you. And it has to be consistent. You can't just be authentic in one area, then switch to another, because the trust level goes, the credibility goes. So you've really got to be yourself and be authentic for people to build trust. And being visible, you know, there's no point in having an amazing offer or service, but people don't know who offer it because they can't build trust. They need to connect with you. And that connection does drive sales and business growth. There is, you know, absolutely no doubt about that. I'm just going to throw out a couple of quotes that I love from other people because they are the experts in collating them. And people don't buy products, they buy stories, relationship, and magic. Now that quote says it all for me, because, you know, you could have two people with the same product, but the one you're more likely to buy from is the one you can see who's telling you why they're doing it, why they're offering it, because then you can connect with them and then trust them to buy the product. And you can probably see on there on the screen already that 88% of consumers say authenticity is important, and they will buy from the brands that share the same value as them. So it's really important that when you are offering a service or product, that it does resonate with who you truly are, because then you can sell it authentically to your audience. So hopefully that makes sense. There aren't any questions yet, are they? I have to ask just in case.
There's so much you're saying that is so true.
Oh, brilliant.
And I love the fact that you talked about how your personal story is who you are.
Yes.
I think that's so important, because often we stop something,
yeah.
I think that's the end of the story, but actually it builds, it's part of our building blocks, and we need to kind of really dig into that and make it part of who we are today.
Absolutely. And I'm going to talk more about that as well later, sort of bring it back to what I've done to kind of explain it a bit more. This is one of my favourite quotes, and I think a lot of people will know and recognise that name. So Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. Now, I've put a picture of this amazing lady who is Amber of Hygeia, and she runs a Pilates studio near me, and her personal branding is so on point. She does share so much of who she is and why she does it. She helps her audience with tips. She's not just a Pilates and wellness studio. She actually shows that she cares, and she's a really great brand to just go and have a look on her Instagram, not just because I've shared a lot of, she actually books me for personal branding. So a lot of the photos are the ones I've taken, but she's also talks about her walks, her tips and tricks on how to improve your wellness. And she shares her own personal stories on there as well. So if you wanted to find a simple local brand that does it, and she works for herself and does all her promotion herself, she's a great one to follow and just learn a little bit more about how she does it. But going from local, I think everybody knows about a lot of personal branding, started with a lot of the celebrities. But I wanted to share these two people in particular, because it gives you an idea of how you can then later on discover your own uniqueness and how you want to be presented to your audience. So Oprah obviously is an incredible influencer. But one thing that you can note from how she influences is it's the empathy, because she connects with people on a deeper level. So her personal branding is relatable to other people. She makes them feel seen and heard. Now, that is something that, depending on your service and offer, you can look at how you can adopt that similar kind of influence, but it has to be authentic. So if you're not there to make people feel seen and heard and connect with them at a deeper level, then it's not for you. But it gives you a path onto discovering what might be for you. Taylor Swift, that was my daughter actually made me put that in when we were discussing celebrities, because she's a massive Taylor Swift fan. And the reason why she is because she's an authentic storyteller. You know, she resonates with her fans and she shows her vulnerability. She's open and true to herself, you know, so she's different to a lot of the other, you know, musician authors out there, because you know her story, you know her authenticity is being vulnerable. And again, you know, these are two different types of personal brands. So you've got someone who listens and wants people to be seen and heard, and then you've got the authentic storyteller that just shows her life, tells her life, and you can feel like you can resonate with her. And then what you do then is buy one of the products, or her pet, I would say your daughter or your son makes you buy all their products. So my daughter has got everything Taylor Swift, so I am definitely impressed with her personal brand journey. So building a personal brand strategy. I've put the next sort of slides together to to hopefully help you with deciding what your voice is, because I think, like I said, you have your own uniqueness, but you've got to decide what you stand for as well. So the importance of a clear, authentic brand voice is what's going to build your trust with your audience. But you need to know what you stand for. So is your brand bold? You know, you've got Rihanna, she's very bold. She's got her products and her makeup that are quite, people buy into buying her makeup because she stands for an unfiltered kind of bold personal branding voice. You know, but are you, you know, but that might not be you. It could be that you're more caring, more educational. Have you got tips that's going to help people with their, you know, with their life, you know, and obviously your product relates to that as well. You know, are you honest as well? You know, there's a lot of, you know, things that you need to share about you in your personal brand strategy. So the first thing I always recommend is people need to start thinking about what they stand for. What's your uniqueness? Now, I've told you a little bit about my background that makes me unique, because no one else can actually do what I've done in my past. I mean, it's so unique. I've worked for so many different brands, and then I became a photographer. That whole journey that I've led is unique to me. But the next stage is knowing with your actual product or your service, you need to know who you're targeting. That is the most important thing. Once you know who they are, then you know how to speak to them. Some of these then actually work one way or the other. So you also need to know your why. So why are you doing what you do? Because once you know why you're doing it, you can explain it to your who. So when you know your who and why you're doing it, then you can tell them how you can help them. I'll explain this further, because I always feel like when I read that line out, or when I sort of say that line, it doesn't really resonate with everyone straight away, because you need to sort of explain what I mean a little bit further. So I'm going to go into that. And if you've got any questions at this stage, feel free to, basically, you know, send a little note in. So to start with, like I spoke earlier, my brand DNA, this is really important into building my why later on. So my brand DNA, I have a family with 2 children. You know, that's not necessarily unique, but that's who I am, and that's how I can speak to my audience and relate to them if they've got a family with 2 children. I have traveled the world. I've lived in another country. I have also worked for some top brands, as you can see. I have ran my own studio and built that up from scratch. I've worked with loads of other brands as well. So I know a lot of business owners who I've helped and what their needs were. I've also put together my own website, launched my family photography, and then now I've also launched my next set of business, which is the Brand Tribe. I'll talk about it later. So this is all building up my brand DNA, which is part of my uniqueness that can then help others. So hopefully that all makes sense. Are you with me still, Yvette? You've got some questions?
No, that really blew my mind actually, because when you think about brand DNA, so how you went into like all of those things like your family and stuff, how that actually does build up your brand DNA. I'd never thought of it at that level, like you've traveled the world, your family, you know, the things. Whenever you think of brand, you just purely think of career.
Yeah.
And actually it isn't, because a lot of the main drivers are deeper, aren't they? The main drivers for often people with children is to be there for the children and provide for them, you know, and I've never considered that my brand DNA is more about me than anything.
Well, it's where you can build authenticity and trust, because, you know, on a level where I can actually, when I'm talking about my personal brand photography to my clients or on social media, I might share a little bit about my experience that day with my children, you know. Yeah. So again, it's building that, you know, people are getting to know me. So that's part of my personal branding. People are going, oh, she's a mum like me. She struggled to get to the studio on time, or and I'm sharing that story. So people are connecting with me on another level. And then later on, I might share, you know, how I can make their lives easier because they're busy, you know, taking their kids to school. They don't have time then to do their own photography, you know, and it's just one less thing to do. So it is part of my personal brand DNA that I tell people I have a family, and I know the struggles of, you know, being a mum and getting the work done, and, you know, and why I'm there to help them with, you know, saving them time with their personal brand photos. So there's that. And then the other brand story is the fact that, you know, I've worked with a lot of businesses who are similar to me, and I know what their needs are, you know, and I can't even tell you how many different businesses I've worked with. There's hundreds. But the fact is, I've helped them with saving time. So I kind of know the importance of saving time when you work for yourself, or even when you work in an office and you run a busy business, you know, big business. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's what you are, isn't it? You are your brand.
Yeah.
You are your brand.
You are your brand, yeah.
Everything and that you've been through, everything you've accomplished, everything you do, everything that's part of you. Yeah. Builds who you are.
Absolutely. How you know, people that you've met help build who you are, you know, their stories, but also the highs and the lows. So all the different things that have happened to you in your life make you, you know, unique. Yeah. So you'll know how to communicate with people similar to you. And this is important not only just in business, because it's why it goes to your why you want to help others. It's why you've chosen to do what you do. And hopefully this next slide explains my who and my why and my how. So in my sort of personal brand story, I've decided that my who are people who I can help. So it doesn't always have to be, but for me, it made complete sense. It's women in business who need to confidently showcase their expertise and establish themselves as a go-to authority in their market. The reason why I've chosen my who is because I was them, you know, and it's easier to help people that you once were. And I think you've always got to remember that whatever you do in your business, if you want to authentically speak about how you can help them, you've probably been there already. And there's lots of examples that we can discuss of these. So I had to figure out how to be, in the past, the go-to family photographer in a massively crowded market in a small town, while juggling part-time hours, motherhood, and running my business solo. So it is really what I wanted to do to help people. I thought, well, I've built it, I've successfully managed it. How can I help people like me, you know, be confident and show their face? Because actually it's really hard, isn't it, to show your face? I'm the same. You know, in the last 10 years, I was busy taking photos of other people, forgot to actually show my face. So I had to learn how to do that to build trust with other people. And I've decided, like at the tail end of last year, that to go from family photography to personal brand photography, I wanted to come up with something called, well, a membership where I can provide women with fresh images in a relaxed and non-intimidating environment, because that was really important for me, that people felt relaxed, that they can have their photo taken, get beautiful photos, collaborate with other women, and just sort of build up a community, which is something that I didn't have when I started up my business. So I've kind of created the brand tribe for something that I wish I had when I started my business. And I want it to grow. I want people to grow in their wealth of knowledge, in beautiful photos, and I want to save them time and eventually money, you know. So it's the whole shebang, really. So that is my who, why, and how. Does that make sense to you, Yvette?
Absolutely.
Because that's important that it makes sense. I know there's people listening that might have questions later, but in a sense, that is really why I did it. And this is some tips which I think at the end of this presentation we can email out to everybody. But it's personal brand research you can do yourself today. And I actually have a download as well, which I think Yvette or myself can send out to you. But the most important things is if you don't know where you're at with your brand yet, it's the research you can do is list famous celebrities, sports personalities or businesses that you really admire. And when you've listed them, write down the qualities and what it is about them that you can relate to, because then you'll start to understand how you can build your own personal brand story. What do they do? How do they make you feel? How do they show up? And then after that, you can sort of write down what's important to you. Why do you do what you do? Is it because you want to help the person you once were? Because then it's easier to explain that to others. Who do you do it for? And how would you show up now? And how would you like to show up later? So this is the brand strategy download that I have for everyone. So when you see that, it's just basically a worksheet, and it will sort of bring together everything I've talked about, and hopefully give you that guide to, identify your brand's core message, that you can then use to strategically show images, that will relate to your audience, and then it will be consistent as well. You've got to be the face of your brand, and you've got to be consistent to build up that trust. Do you have time for me to talk about the brand tribe?
Yes, yeah, I think you've got another 2 or 3 minutes before it cuts us off.
Okay, yeah. I'll go through this quickly because we can send this on a link anyway.
Absolutely.
But this is my this is my who, why, and how. So I've decided that I'm going to help successful business owners like you create strong brand images in beautiful locations. So I'm going to be doing shoots 3 times a year to create seasonal photos, because that was something that people were lacking, because they'd do one-off shoots, we'd have to do thousands of changes, they'd do it on their own, but this was something that would help people seasonally, so that if they suddenly had a new launch, they had then fresh images for that new launch because they would see me on a quarterly basis. But I also wanted to build up the brand tribe so people could be supportive in that environment. They can meet other business owners, collaborate, and also bring new business in for themselves. So about my who, why, and how, because I've talked about that. This is a little bit about why people wanted to join. I've actually got 8 business owners that have joined my first brand tribe cohort. I'm not going to be releasing another one until sort of June, July time. But just to give you an idea of why you might want to join in the future, it's consistency, visibility, all the reasons why people would then connect with your brand. There's authentic moments, you can gain confidence, stand out, and we can build a visual strategy together. But I'm going to move on because I think really the most important thing is, we can send all of this out to everybody that's joined, and you can have a read of it. I just wanted to kind of make sure there weren't any questions from Yvette before the end, and hopefully, everything's been clear and
no, it's been amazing.
Concise for you in that 40 minutes.
Yes, I'll come back over and join you now.
Thank you.
If anyone's got any questions, because we have got some people on live, feel free to put them in the chat. From my point of view, that was really interesting. I just love the way that you take the essence of you and build that as a personal brand. And I think that's sometimes what we miss. I think what I struggle with, and I think this is why I need to go back to kind of the Oprah and Taylor Swift. My daughter's a Swiftie.
Yes.
Most played on our Alexa.
Yeah.
Every month, all year. I think the thing that I struggle with, and I think there might be the people that are watching, is I don't like to share too much personal stuff. So I think I need to kind of work out which route to go down with the empathetic or the storytelling, but do it in a way that I don't feel like it's too personal. Does that make sense?
It does, and this is where I need to sort of like intervene in that, because it doesn't have, you don't have to share too much personal stuff.
Okay.
It's just stories that relate to what you're doing.
Right.
So you could literally be, if you're rocking up to your office or to visit somebody, you can actually say, to get here today, I experienced all these different things.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You don't have to share too much of your personal background, unless it's actually going to help the people that you are targeting.
It's right, targeting the right word. But yes,
or who are buying your service. So an example is, I think the best thing is to give an example. So there is a lovely lady who's joined my brand tribe who's a trauma coach.
Okay.
So she has actually had, she's met people with experience in trauma, so she can actually talk to people about how she can help them, because of her past and other people that she's helped before. So that is her, her kind of authenticity. She's not just, she's actually helping the person she once was, but she's also helping, people. She's also talking about people that she's helped before as well. So it's authentic stories. It's not something that she's just become out of, doing a course and learning how to be a trauma coach. She's actually got authentic experience that will help others.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of frames it a bit easier for me. So because I always think that people only relate if it's like really personal about you, but I don't, that's just not me. No. I'm not that. But actually, now you've reframed that, I think there is more stuff I can do with that.
Yeah, another classic example, I mentioned her earlier, is Amber from Hygeia. So she just sometimes just shares her daily walk in the day.
Okay.
And, and she picks up a card every day or every other day that's an affirmation.
Love affirmations.
And she doesn't, and that's nothing to do with Pilates.
Yeah.
But she'll pick it up and share it as her affirmation for the day. So she's actually bringing her personal stories and personal experiences into,
Yes. Okay. That makes loads of sense to me, actually. I think that's given me food for thoughts. I think that's sometimes where I miss, I can produce great work, but I'm missing the story leading up to it.
And your why are you doing it?
Why I'm doing it,
if as soon as you discover your why you're doing it, and who it is, you will then, your natural audience will, flock to you.
Yes.
But if you are trying to build a business and not have your why and your who, then it will just coast along. As soon as you start putting the three together, your who, your why, and how you're going to help them, it will elevate your business.
Yeah.
Because people will then go, right, I get it. This is the person for me.
I'm so going to go do your download. There was something else I was thinking about this morning when I was driving here. And you've touched on it. So you've worked with lots of different brands. Mm-hmm. I, like lots of people, I worked for one corporate business for 18 years. Mm-hmm. I was very lucky in that business. I started kind of at the bottom and I worked hard and I got promoted. Mm-hmm. But what I found in that business is that the label they gave you, your job title, was the most important thing. And it was kind of what was the carrot in front of us all the time. When I left the corporate world, I really struggled with a label, whether to have a label or to not have a label. And I think this is where the personal branding thing. So because for years I was Yvette head of contact centre, or Yvette head of specialist sales, or Yvette whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly you leave that world and you're like, okay, I'm Yvette. But what do you stand for? But what do I stand for and what am I? And that's, I think, where
you need to work on that.
Yeah, definitely.
You can work on that, because a lot of us can say what we think you stand for. Yeah. But as soon as you start telling people what you feel like you stand for, then you'll get the right people. Following you.
Yeah, that's definitely a piece of it. That might be another. We'll perhaps have to do that on another.
We need to do yours. We need to do yours.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I don't think there's any questions come through. What we will do, everybody, thank you for everyone that's joined us live, and if you're watching us afterwards, if you have got any questions for Julietta or I, we'll make sure that when we send the recording out to you, we'll put your email addresses in, contact, we'll put all the stuff about the brand tribe in as well. But I think that's it. So have you got anything you'd like to end with, Julietta?
No, other than, this, please, take the download, have a look at it, because I really think that will help you start building your brand story and looking at your DNA, your brand DNA. Those are two really important things. Your brand DNA will then lead you to your who, why, and how. Brilliant. And we'll get that out to you in the next couple of days. Yeah. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everybody.